What is going on, fight fans? My name is Jake Lippman, and I'm back today with the Behind the Cage Door podcast with a special guest, somebody who's celebrating in victory right now, new CFFC champion, Cedric Gunnison. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Feeling pretty good, healing up, taking a little bit of time to lick my wounds and then get back to the mat.
Absolutely. And you look good. It doesn't look like you were just in a fist fight the other day.
I mean, I got caught a little bit more than normal this time. He was tough. You got to give it to him. He was a really good opponent. I mean, that's how he went so long. We were going back and forth, had a lot of fun out there, just throwing down.
Absolutely. And Big Zolk, he's definitely nobody to just look over. He's a really good, talented athlete, good grappling, great striking. And you guys really went through a war. You want to just walk me through that performance and how it all felt?
It really felt fun. Honestly, at some points, it kind of felt like we were like good sparring partners. Like we were kind of having fun. We were smiling. We were talking trash, going back and forth. And I could tell he didn't want to back down. I didn't want to back down. It was kind of fun going toe to toe with the former champion of CFFC. Like I could tell he wanted his belt back, but I just know how hard I've worked and how much I've been through to get here, and I wanted it a little bit more. So I had to do what I had to do.
Oh, yeah. And you came at him with that real pressure style, a lot of wrestling early, and then a barrage of kicks late. I mean, so many different legs to low and up high. You were just mixing it up every way you could. What was really your strategy going into the fight?
I mean, I'm comfortable everywhere. Obviously, we knew he was a good striker, but I knew I could probably strike with him as well. So I figured mix it up, be a mixed martial artist, wrestle. Maybe if we have to do some jiu-jitsu, strike. Don't just do like one aspect of it all. So right away, we kind of got close to each other. I went ahead and shot, got in on close and started working the cage control and got to work right away.
Absolutely. And so for you, the CFFC is a little different with their title fights. It's a 4 5-minute round fight with, if it's a tie going 2-2 at the end of 4, it goes the 5th round. Did that change your strategy or your approach at all?
Not really, man. I look at it as that's a 5-round fight. Don't look at 4. Don't look at anything else unless you're going to finish him, take him out. Just look at it as a 5-round fight. Prepare for that. That way, when it hits that, you're ready to go. Whenever it hit the 5th round, I was ready. I was happy. I was glad I was ready. We could do this some more. So jumped up and got back out there.
Absolutely. And so you came out of the corner that 5th round, and what's going through your head right there?
I figured, I knew it was a close fight. I definitely knew it was a close fight. When you're actually in there, it feels a little bit different than watching it. Now watching it, I definitely feel like I had won that already in the 4th. But in the moment, it did feel like I was kind of happy to be like, all right, it's 2-2. Whoever wants it more right here, we're going to see. Like this is what it all comes down to, is this one last 5 minutes. How many hours and how many sessions do we go through in camp, and how many times do we hit those mats for just 5 minutes? So I was very thankful to be there and make it to that point.
Absolutely. And I really feel like, you showed everything in that fight. You left it all out on the mat. And so really looking back into it, what do you credit from, entering the fight? What in your camp was different this time that really got you ready for a title fight?
I wouldn't say it was really anything different, man. We're getting better and better at this. Like I said, I've only taken one loss, and we all learned from that loss. Me, my coaches, everybody. Eventually, you just got to step it up. Like I would say, the biggest thing that I'm learning is how to actually get fought. Like I've always beat people up. Honestly, I'm not even trying to be like that, but I'm learning lately that you have to also learn how to, when someone's beating you up, you have to learn how to deal with that and move your head and duck under. And my head movement looks pretty good out there. I'm getting more and more comfortable going against this level of guys. Like they're going to only see more and more from me because I'm just getting started.
Absolutely. And you mentioned, your head movement. I think one thing that really stood out to me about the fight, you were really quick. I mean, in all your fights, you're really quick. You have the good footwork. You like to switch back and forth. But, what do you call your style? Because it's different.
I don't know. There's really not a style for it, man. It's almost like, I think of it as just like your fight IQ. Like I go into this place where I'm just registering what I see, what I can touch, where he's moving. Kind of, it's just like almost like a computer system. You just go into this space where you're just moving, kind of having fun with it. I'd say I'm a striker, but I love to go to the ground as well, and that's why I was trying to work some of the wrestling. But he was strong. He was definitely strong in the hips. Very good awareness when we were in the clinch and when we were wrestling off the trips. I was trying to go for my trips and stuff, and very aware of that. So I just accredit it to everything, man. I like to mix it up. I like to strike. I like to do it all.
Absolutely. And I feel like a lot of times, especially earlier in the fight, you had him in some deep single legs and some really good takedown attempts. How did you mentally stay strong and keep going and not let that get to you and really impact your performance?
Some of the wrestlers I work with, man. I mean, obviously wrestling camps, anybody who knows, wrestling camps are tough. That's how it is. You just keep working. And once you get used to that, I mean, it's just another day in the office. It honestly is. We are going at it. It's fun. Like, he gets to try his stuff. I get to try mine. He was throwing heavy shots at me, and then I'm going for my foot stomps, my wrestling, my leg kicks. We're just going back and forth. And that's what made it so fun, is like, your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. Like, it was back and forth rather than just one taking the other one out. It was a real competition. And I found out last night, I love it. I'm down for it all day.
Absolutely. And so you got through that battle. I mean, hard fight. All told, it went the distance for a reason. I mean, Zolk wasn't backing down. What's next for you?
I want to defend my title. I love defending my title. Anytime I've ever had a title, I've gotten 3 or 4 of them now. I got a bunch of them. I always defend. I feel like defending the title is more than winning the title, especially when it was vacant. I would have liked to take out Blake Smith. I know he made it to the Bellator, and that's awesome. I'm glad he made it to Bellator. I hope he's doing his thing. But I like to take the champion out. So a vacant belt obviously means the world. But now what matters is defending it. That's when I'll show that I'm really the champion.
Absolutely. And so when you're looking for your next opponent, what are you really looking for? Is it just the right opportunity or the right timing? What do you really want to see?
I would like to eventually, man, make it to the big stage. Like, we've been putting in a lot of work. So I'm looking for whoever that's got to be, either contender series or somebody who has a big enough name who can get some eyes on the fight. I've had the tough fights. I've had different types of fighters. I've had wrestlers, strikers, jiu-jitsu guys. I've done it all. So I'm ready for the person that can get me to that big stage. At this point, it's like, what do I have to do? I mean, 3-time professional champion. I was like a 4-time amateur champion. I've done them all. Knockouts of the nights, submissions, decisions. I mean, I've done everything. So I'm just trying to figure out what that is, or whoever that needs to be.
Absolutely. And really looking at your career, you are young in your career, but 7-0 as an amateur, lots of success, as you mentioned, amateur belts, pro belts. Didn't you get a couple belts at 170 as well?
I did, yeah. I was at 170 for a while as an amateur, and I finished every single one of those. I think, I want to say 1. So I finished knockouts and submissions. Like, I like to finish. So I was trying to finish strong. He's strong, man. He's tough. I hit him with some shots. He hit me with some good shots too. So I just like to go for that finish. So toe to toe the whole time. I know he was trying to finish me. I was trying to finish him, and that is what it is.
And I think one thing that was really prevalent in that fight was, he had a lot of fans and you had a lot of fans. What about the atmosphere, specifically at that 2000 arena where, the sound really echoes off the walls? What about that atmosphere really helped you, push through that fight?
I love when I'm the underdog, man. Like, people were rooting for him. They just thought I was going to lose. Looking out in that crowd, you can see all of his people, and they don't realize it at the moment, but they're fueling the fire. They're just making it worse for their guy. Like, they honestly feel like maybe they're intimidating or they're putting me down. But that's another thing I went through on my first night when I took my first loss. That was the first time of them having more people. Charlie had that place packed. There were so many people. And, like, first experience in that, it is a bit of a shock in the moment. But now that I felt it, I've been through that 3-4 times since, and I love it. That's where I live. That fuels me. Like, I was telling them, you guys don't know me. I was yelling out to the crowd, you guys don't know me, but you're about to find out. And then I got to show them, so it felt good.
And I can only imagine how good that felt. Not to mention any bad times, but you did mention fighting Charlie Campbell. He got a little sniff of the UFC, had really good success so far in his career. What'd you really learn from that loss?
Honestly, leg kicks. He caught me with some pretty good leg kicks. He said I'd stopped kicking, and he didn't. So that was a big difference in that fight. I started to kind of slowly stop kicking, and I started to feel the damage, just like in that fight last night. Keep kicking. Take his legs out, take his breath, keep kicking. My foot's fine. Like, it's going to heal up. It might be a little damaged. I have some crutches and stuff, but it is what it is. I've got the victory, and now I'll be back to work and get back to kicking the next people too.
And you really did work a lot of kicks there. Do you specifically work your camp with a lot of kicks, or what do you really tailor your camps to? And specifically in this last fight, how did you really want to approach him?
We work everything. Honestly, I don't just go for one thing. I wasn't expecting to just use the kick that whole fight. But like I said, when that fight IQ system, that computer system goes off, I could touch that. I'm throwing everything else. I'm checking everything else. I checked the right hand. I checked the left hand. I checked the straight, the hook. I checked the head kicks. I checked it all. And that leg kick was there all night. So if I'm touching you in your leg all night, why would I stop? Until he adjusts, until he checks, until he does something where I can't, I'm going to keep doing it.
Absolutely, and you kept coming forward too, which was really impressive. It didn't really seem like it mattered how tired you were. How important is cardio and making sure that you're prepared coming into that fight for you?
That's always been everything to me. Like that one loss, I was mad that I didn't get to show that. I just felt like it wasn't quite there. I didn't feel the way that I wanted to feel. And that night I did. My lungs felt good, the pre-check felt good, the warm up, everything. I was ready to go for a nice, deep, long fight. And I knew he was going to bring it. I knew it. I told myself that all camp, like, this is going to be a war. I didn't know it was going to be 25 minutes, but I knew it was going to be a war. And I got to feel what 25 minutes feels like. And I could have done 2, 3 more rounds. I felt great.
That's impressive. I mean, 25 minutes in the cage, watching it from an outsider's perspective, you think of it kind of like a video game. It should be easy, but that's not easy. That's exhausting. That's good hard work, and that's a good day's work, which really leads me to something I'm very curious about. What's a typical day in the life of the champion like?
I'm actually an arborist as well. So like full time for work, I go climb trees all day. I'm out there taking down limbs over people's houses and stuff. So I'm always doing something physically fit. Before that, I was a personal trainer, all that good stuff. But now I'm to the point where I'm taking off work full time to train. I've done that actually since that loss. I did 2 weeks for that fight, and it wasn't enough. So now I do a full month, and going forward too. Now that I'm champion, I'm gonna do a little bit more than that. Take it up a little bit higher. Probably go 6 weeks. I can't imagine if I get more time than that to train full time. I mean, I don't know what these other guys are doing. I don't know if they're training full time or not, but I'm just getting started with that. So once I get full time, I'm on the mats every single day. It's gonna be a big problem. But yeah, day to day, I'm training multiple times a day, especially in fight camp. It's got to be the one thing on your mind. Nothing else matters. You wake up, sleep, eat, breathe, fighting, and you just prepare.
For sure. And it's unbelievably impressive that you're able to work full time and still train and fight at the highest level. I mean, Zolk is no slouch. The CFFC stage is a big stage. I mean, you're right before the UFC. And so it's great that they're working with you and allowing you to get some extra time off in order to get that training that you need. But really, do you think that working that job actually helps you and benefits you when it comes to your fighting career?
It could helps with the money. Like MMA fighters don't get paid enough to just fight. I mean, I have good sponsors too. I get taken care of very well, but it's still just not enough. Especially like stuff is just expensive these days. Everything costs money, so you got to be able to do both, and that's one of the hardest parts. People always think like just watching the fights that we're just fighters, and like even in you'll watch in the UFC, people will talk trash about these guys. These guys have regular jobs, regular lives. They still have to deal with all the other drama from regular life, and also worry about fighting somebody the next week or the next month, whatever it is. So it's definitely something to really deal with, and you have to get used to it. It takes a little bit of time.
For sure, but that work ethic, I mean, that's got to help you, especially when you get into the thick of things with training camp and really working to cut that weight. And so I guess all the credit goes out to your team and your camp. You want to tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah, they're always preparing me. I travel to a lot of different schools out here in Virginia. I go up in Dale City with Elijah Harshberger. I go out to Richmond MMAI and with Rick McCoy, and then I train at my home, the Lab Mixed Martial Arts with Chad LeBrun. And all of them together, we're just a solid team, man. We put out a lot of work, a lot of different training partners. Each one of them wants to see my best. So like if you go to one that day, you go to your next class that day at a different school. Doesn't matter how tired you are, that coach still wants your best. So it gets you used to those longer rounds. Like that's just another day. You get really used to just pushing yourself when you're exhausted and not listening to those little aches, those little pains, that little voice in the back of your head that's trying to say, hey, I feel my body. You just push right through it, no problem.
That's awesome. And so for you, the lab is your main base, correct?
Yes, it is. That's my home. It will always be my home for sure.
And so what makes it so special there?
It's the atmosphere. Like that's where I started. I walked in just trying to try a free class and just instantly fell in love. Everybody was smiling, having a good time. It was like a family. That's what it literally felt like, a big family kind of pushing each other to be better. And no one's gonna let you come in there. And if you're having an off day, we're still gonna push you and help you get through it. And it's just a family atmosphere. It's not really just a fighter gym. It's more of like it's all about the jiu-jitsu and all about like the love and caring about each other and having the correct attitude. That's why we carry ourselves very well. I try to anyway. I have my demeanor and who I am. But if you see me off the streets or out of the cage, I'm just a nice guy, and that's what I've always been taught to be from Chad LeBrun. Like you carry yourself a certain way.
That's wonderful. And I mean, I feel like if you're not really comfortable with your gym, it's probably hard to call that place home. So to have that special relationship with a coach and with an atmosphere, that's definitely got to be a really big advantage for you. And so with that, when you're training there, what is really your focus? I mean, I know you said you focused a lot on your stand up and you like the stuff on the ground. What really is your base?
It's honestly mixed, man. I go to wrestling, I go to jiu-jitsu, and I go to striking every single week. I have more than a few classes of them, and you just rotate, rotate, rotate. I honestly do not want to be styled in one aspect. Right now, I guess you could call me a striker. That's what I tend to do a lot more in my fights if you've watched them all, because I mean, we do study this type of stuff. I am a striker, but I'm comfortable everywhere, and I want to show more everywhere else. Like I was trying to wrestle. I wanted to be able to take him down, get him to the floor, work some of my wrestling. He had a good wrestling defense. He really did. So, but in the future, I want to be able to do that even more. Get more takedowns, get him to the ground. I need more submissions. I need more of everything, honestly. But I'm ready to keep pushing myself. I'm never satisfied.
Absolutely. And that hunger is that's going to drive you. And so, do you have any special people that you really want to shout out and that really kind of help guide you down that path?
Probably, honestly, Chad LeBron for sure. I look up to him a whole lot. Like I just do. It's how it's always been. He always shows up for me in times like that. Leaves his family, leaves everything, comes out to support me and what I'm doing. And everybody at the lab, they've all believed in me so much, and it feels so good every time to win, be able to come back home and just they were right. They get to see that they were right. They had a reason to believe in me, and it helps a lot. So, and then obviously my family, they're always there for me. Always have my back. And you can't do this without your support team. It doesn't happen. There's no way you do this alone. You fight out there alone, so maybe it looks like this person has done it on their own, but no way at all. You got to have your girlfriend. You got to have your family. You got to have everybody. So that's what I have.
That's wonderful. And then, so for you, when are you ready to get back into it?
For you talking about for the next one, the next fight?
Yeah, when are you going to get back
It's
to the gym and just get back in shape and keep it going?
I'm back next week. I'm not taking no time off, especially even if my foot's not healed up, I'll start lifting a little bit. I think I need to lift just a little bit more. I felt that in that fight. He was strong, maybe even a little bit stronger than me. I had to use a little bit more speed. But next time they won't see that. I'm gonna put on a little bit more, just maybe not more weight, but I'm gonna put on just a little bit more strength. Get back to my strength and conditioning. So that'll start on Monday, whether I'm on my foot or off my foot, and get ready to go. No time off. I want to stay with this momentum, stay feeling good, and next time get a finish for CFFC for sure.
Oh yeah. And so, really speaking about that, it's interesting that you say you want to put on strength because I think you're super fast, and I also think you're pretty big for the division. I mean, you did fight at 170, so how do you really get yourself down to that weight of 155 with keeping your cardio, which is probably one of your biggest strengths as well?
Yep, strict diet. Takes just a strict diet. If you're really putting in the right things, you put in the correct input, and you're gonna have the correct output. So as long as you're doing that and you take enough time, don't try and do a shortcut. Like it takes me a while to get down the weight, and then I do cut a nice amount of water as well. So as long as you're doing it all healthy, plan your rehydration, plan everything out, and stick to the plan, then it usually works out pretty well.
For sure. Could we ever see a return to 170, or is 155 your home?
I love 170, man. My coaches decided that we should go down to 55 just because I am a little quicker down there, and we have I mean, why not? If you can make 55, why not do it? But I love 172. I love that feeling of that power, and when I touch people, it's a lot different than when I touch them at 55. So maybe one day. Honestly, I kind of want to try one at 185 before I'm done. I can get big. I can get a little bit bigger. I could probably get over 200 pounds before I'm done, and then maybe try one last one at 185 and see what happens.
What do you normally walk around at?
I walk around about 180, 185.
Okay.
Yep, and that's training all the time. If I wanted to make that like lifting, I could probably do it. I'd probably get up 200, 215, and then cut down to 85. Feel real good. I definitely would want to be a big boy if I was going to do it. So I'd get up there.
Well, everybody, doesn't matter the weight class, better be on notice and be on watch now. The champ's coming everywhere.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. And so for you, what does that belt really symbolize?
Opportunity. It shows me that there's a future in this. I wanted to show that. I wanted to prove that. Also, I really appreciate CFFC for seeing what happened to me with my old belt. Another guy came along and they said he was a national champion. I was just a regional. That was never told to me when I was going to get the belt. That's like them telling me now I'm just the national champ rather than the champion. So we said if we couldn't unify the belts and we were out, there was no discussion on it. They didn't want to do it. So we went ahead and headed out. And CFFC saw how we were treated. They offered us this shot. And I came and took it. And luckily it went in my favor. And we did what we had to do.
Absolutely. And CFFC is a great promotion. They had great shows both nights, CFFC 117 and CFFC 118. Were you watching both nights?
I didn't watch the second night. No, I didn't check it out. I was, out there kind of enjoying myself. Once you're done with your work, I can watch them all later. We can check them out, check out the new opponents and who's next, and make sure I keep my eye on the organization. I know I'm the champion now, so I have a target on my back, and I'm gonna be ready for whoever's next.
Oh yeah. Well, CFFC 117 was an exciting night of fights, and you being the main event, I mean, really sold it the show, and it was a packed house, an incredible experience for anybody that didn't get to watch. I feel bad for them almost. I think my last real question for you before we close this up, you know, a lot of fighters, they go through a lot. It takes a lot of hard work and dedication to do what they do. So if you could go back and give yourself some advice, before the titles, before you even got, started with your success, if you could go back in time and give yourself some advice, what would you tell a younger version of yourself?
Start younger, basically. I should have started all this stuff younger. If I could have started younger, then I'd be a lot farther ahead. And I know I'm doing things correctly now. So if I could have just taken that back a few years before, been good to go. Everything could be fine.
Absolutely. So I definitely want to say thank you for hopping on this with me. Your style is so fun to watch, and you're an even better speaker. So I think the future is going to be bright, and I'm looking forward to following your career. Before we wrap this up, though, do you have anybody that you want to, shout out? Any special thank yous, or
My
maybe?
sponsors, yeah, for sure. Advanced Heating and Air, Billikens at the Chimneys out here in Fredericksburg. They've been so awesome to me. They're my main sponsors. I have a few other ones. Spiral LLC, they've been awesome. Off the Hook Hair and Nails, completely awesome. And then True North Contracting, they're just really, really great. They all look out for me a whole lot. My apparel company, Longs Embroidery here in Fredericksburg, they're just amazing. I appreciate them all. And without them, I couldn't do this. So thanks again for everything, guys.
Absolutely, and shout out your social media as well.
At Gunman Gunnison on Instagram, and then Cedric Gunnison everywhere else, wherever else you want to look. But yeah, at Gunman Gunnison on Instagram.
Absolutely. Well, Cedric, thank you so much for coming in. That belt definitely looks good around your shoulder. I can't wait to see what you got going next.
Thank you, man. I can't wait for it.